How to make a treat pouch that hangs on a bottle. Hi, this is Maria Williams. Thanks for joining me today. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make a little treat pouch that fits over the neck of a bottle. Jeanette Boas, who is a talented, very talented member of my Stampin' Up! Team, brought these as her shoebox swap for a meeting last week. And I thought that I would do a similar one for Halloween also, but that's a little bit simpler. We had to do a little bit of fussy cutting for this. So instead of using cardstock, I'm using paper so we don't have to layer and there will be no fussy cutting. So I'm starting out with a piece of designer series paper from the Halloween collection from Stampin' Up! It measures 2.5 by 9 inches, and I'm going to score it at 2.5, and then if you count from this end, it's at 2.5 and 2 3/4. I find it easier to remember it that way rather than remembering 2.5, 6 1/4, 6 1/2. So since my paper has a right side and obviously upside down, I have to make sure that the bottom of my pouch is right side up. So I'm going to score that part first. So I'm going to score 2.5 inches from what is really the top of my paper, holding it right side up, and then at 2 3/4. And that gives me the crease so that there's a little bit of extra room for the treat to go in. And then I'm going to flip it over and score again at 2.5 inches. So now everything is scored. I can fold along those lines. Let's see, I don't think I did a very good job scoring there. There we go. And these are the basic bones of the pouch. So the first thing I'm going to do is make the hole at the top, and I'm going to use a scallop punch and a circle punch. And the easiest way to make that scallop circle with the hole in the middle is to take your circle punch and punch first, and then punch the scallop out. So you would take your circle, punch that out, then take your scallop, line that up, and punch it. Now what happens if you forgot to do that? Well, here's a trick. You take your scallop that you've already punched and you put some glue on the back of it. Just remember that you're punching out the circle, so you have to make sure that you have glue on the edges. And you center it on your paper. And then you cut yourself a template out of scratch paper, preferably thin. And then I'm just going to use a little bit of snail to attach this to the middle. And then, that doesn't look quite centered. Okay, and then you take your punch, line it up. Oop. Here we go. You take your punch and line it up. And you can punch all the layers at one time. Now this will not work if you're doing 2 layers of cardstock. It may be too much for your punch to handle. So now we have that done. I'm going to put together the pouch. So I'm going to use a little piece of removable tape to hold this down while I punch the holes. Sure that looks good. And I'm going to use my piercing mat with a guide. Now you could totally eyeball the holes, but if you like things to be really exact, you can line up your template, punch the hole, and then line it up on the other side. Do that again. And then I'm going to use 2 silver mini brads. Put them through the holes that I just punched. Okay, so there's a pouch, and I can now remove the tape. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm going to wrap a little piece of ribbon around the bottom just for a little decoration. This is the striped cotton ribbon from Stampin' Up! And I'm going to use glue dots for that. I find that to be the easiest. I'm going to use a couple on each end. Oh, I might have cut that a little bit too long. Do that again. And now I'm going to prepare the sentiment. So as I mentioned, I'm going to use the rainbow stamping technique, and I'm only using 3 colors, so I can actually stamp 2 colors at one time and then do the third one in the middle. I'm going to get a baby wipe ready. And I'm using Cucumber Crush and Tangelo Twist. And the Stamp-A-Majig from Stampin' Up! So I'm going to put my paper right up into the corner here. This is the stamp. So I'm going to try to get the ink on the pumpkins and a little bit beyond. And then I'm going to take the Cucumber Crush and put it on the bottom part. It looks pretty well inked up. And then I'm going to position it right in the corner and stamp it down. Then I'm going to take my baby wipe, wipe the whole thing off. And then I'm going to take my Memento Tuxedo black ink, ink up the whole thing, and then remove some of the ink from the bottom and the top. So basically where I want the orange to be really prominent. And then I'm going to position my Stamp-A-Majig again, put my stamp in the corner, and stamp straight down. And there it is. 3 different colors on one stamped image. And then I'm going to use a couple of circle punches. I'm using the 1.5 inch circle punch. I'm punching out a black circle with the 1 3/4 punch and a Tangelo twist punch out with the modern label punch. And this is going to make up my greeting. I'm going to put this together with glue. And then I'm going to place it onto the pouch with a couple of dimensionals. One at the top and one at the bottom so that I can avoid the ribbon. And that completes my topper. And let's put the pixie sticks in there. And there you go. For more information on the supplies used and for additional pictures, please check out my blog at mawilliams.stampinup.net.